and I think its activity should actually start much earlier than that. Okay, so in other words, while this one comes to settle, that's when it will start. It can even start even earlier than that. Okay, like this begins like that. Okay, yeah, okay. And then the next thing is our text shouldn't remain what it is. In other words, our text has to change over time. So here's the magic of After Effects now. As you can see, we are dealing now on the 5th second. So in other words, around here. Yeah, at the 4th second, that's when things need to begin to change. So let's go to it. And then we're going to press, let's see, T. No, not T. Just expand everything for the text. We're going to create I'm going to show you guys how to change text over time without creating different text layers. In other words, whatever the text is right now, we're going to make it a different text so that you can read something else. So to do that, we're going to click on the stopwatch here for source text. Remember, we found it by expanding every option here for the text property. Under text, click on the stopwatch here for the source text. Okay. And also, yeah, so basically, in other words, this is how the text starts, right? And then as we move on forward, we're now going to change the text by double clicking, of course. And then let's see, into the Jedi presents Operation Lock On. Well, the next tagline could be leave no man, and then the other line, the other bar will say behind. Okay, so let's just see. So as you can see, of course, we start with Enter the Jedi presents, and then it changes to leave no man. You see that it changes over time. That's brilliant. And then we're going to press U to bring up all the keyframes. And of course, as you can imagine, we're now going to select these keyframes we had earlier, edit, copy, and then of course just move a bit in time forward. Of course, go to edit, paste. That way, of course, now that text layer also appears over time. So it starts with Enter the Jedi presents. Let's see, what was the key here? This key here was 100%. So let's move in between here. Change this key here to 100, of course. Okay, and then it's going to wipe itself out to write the new content. Okay, just move these a bit out of the way. Again in here, set it to 100% again, just creating enough room between these two. So in other words, the key here is to set it to the value of 100% and also the value of 100%. Okay, now of course, let's see what we've cooked. So this is what we have right now. Henrythejedi presents. It tries to wipe out and leave no man behind. Now, of course, as you can see, the problem is there's too much. You see, it still appears there. You see, we don't want that to take place. So, well, here's what we're going to do. I believe the key is, okay, this was 100%. Move to this keyframe here. Double click it. You're going to enter the 0. That way, of course, nothing is in view. Okay. In other words, everything disappears. Let's see whether we've done the right thing. So into the Jedi present, wipes out. Aha, much better. Okay. And then, of course, yeah, in here, we're going to enter some dots just to show that the machine is thinking. Okay, that's brilliant. Let's preview this again. Enter the Jedi present. In the Jedi present, it wipes itself out. Leave no man behind. Okay. Of course, for now, it still says leave no man. I believe it created the extra keys. We're going to select that key in between there and delete. And of course, move that key there closer like that. Move these keys here closer as well. You see that, eh? Brilliant. Okay. Of course, now what needs to happen is the following. We are going to go to the text 2 layer. In fact, let's do this. Select the text and then we go to edit, copy. Let's go to layer 2. and then we go to edit, paste. Okay, press U, of course, to reveal every keyframe, and then move these, of course, a bit forward because I'm about to show what you're about to do. What needs to happen is the following. We're going to select the lower one and then hit delete. Okay, and then while we are here, this text here, double click on the key there. First, it has to be operation lock on, right? Let's just press S to bring up the scaling a bit and move the position, of course, to be more or less in the center, and scale it up again. Okay, and press U again. Okay, so it starts like this: operation lock on, and then of course it wipes itself out, and then instead of saying leave no man, we're going to enter here, double click the key there, we're going to say B. Sorry, let's move a bit forward here. Yeah, we're going to double click the text, say there behind. In other words, I'm doing the wrong thing, delete that. Yeah, double click, we're going to enter the behind. Okay, because we don't want to leave any man behind here. And let's see, it looks like it will have to be scaled up. And of course this key here must be deleted, of course, to be replaced with that. And of course we're going to press Shift S to bring up the scaling. So in the beginning the scale is fine like this, around there. Yeah, we're going to click a stopwatch there for the scaling, and of course when it gets to become bigger, now that is when of course you have to scale it up. Okay, and let's move it also below. Okay, and move that key below there. So operation lock on, and of course you can see it's intervening too early, so we're going to move these keys here forward. So operation lock on, and then it disappears, of course, to be replaced with behind. Okay, now play this back. Operation lock on, to be replaced with behind. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to the main composition to check what we've cooked. So our animation will start with Henrythejedi presents operation lock on, right? And then it will wipe itself out, of course, and then to be replaced with leave no man behind. Okay. Now, of course, even the containers of this text have to be animated. Okay. And so here's what we're going to do. When everything disappears around here, yeah, we're going to click on the stopwatches for the scale here and move it forward. Okay. And then now here we're also going to create a keyframe there. Let's see. Okay, that's what we have there. Okay, we're then going to move that one behind. Now in here we're going to scale this guy here, of course, to 0 again on the x-axis, so that what happens is that it starts like that. It's right into the Jedi present, and then when the text wipes itself out, it goes away, but it's of course too soon. So let's do this. Let's move these back to the side like that. Now there needs to be a time there of 0 units also on the x-axis there. Enter 0, perfect. Before, of course, it writes itself out again. Let's see this. Into the Jedi presents. Everything goes. No. See, something is fishy. Yeah, somewhere here. Double click. Oh, it's supposed to be 0, but I don't know why it's not exactly 0. Okay, let's see. That's 97.3. Yeah, that's 0. Okay, in here again we have to enter 0. Or perhaps let's delete that. Enter 0 there. Let's see if there's any in between. Yes, there's still that happening, so we're going to delete that instead. And let's see what we've managed. Henrythejedi presents, everything goes, leave no man behind. Okay. Okay. I just don't know why it doesn't allow us to keep it at 0. Because you see, it still appears on the other side there. I'm just going to undo the values. Okay. And then what can happen actually is the following. Let's see. Enter the 0. And then what can happen is actually the following. We're going to press Shift T to bring up the opacity. Now at this point, as you can see, the opacity is set at 72. Now here we're going to enter the opacity of 0. Okay. Because we shouldn't see anything until around here. That of course we keep it at 0. And then of course, around here we reveal it again. Sorry, 72. Yeah. What was the value there? Yeah, that was 72. Okay. So it's right like that, and then it goes away. Move these closer. You see that? It's invisible. Yeah, good. You see, Henrythejedi presents, goes away, and then comes back. Perfect. Okay. Might want to move these out of the way a bit. And leave that at 0 there. We can delete that if we want. Review this. Henrythejedi presents. Yes. Okay. Perhaps it's happening too quickly here, so just going to increase the time required there for it to get to that point. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the main comp, and of course to determine whether we've done the right thing. Let's see what we've got. Our animation starts. We present the operation lock on. Aha! You see how beautiful the wiping out is, eh? See that? See? Beautiful. Okay. Of course, the same thing needs to be done with the lower layer for text too. So, of course, I believe you know by now what needs to happen. We're simply going to select this layer here, edit, copy, go to text 2, go to the very beginning of things, select and delete that layer, and then go to edit, paste. Move it, of course, below. Okay. Press U to reveal the keyframes. And then the other things to do are the following. Let me just see. Let's go to composition settings. Now we can push these values here up to something like 35 seconds each, because we'll need more time, of course. Yeah, back to the main composition. Now, of course, is the time to play this back. So here's what we have when we play back. We present operation lock on. Aha, you see how beautiful the transitions happen, eh? And of course, as you can tell for yourselves, let's see, let me just play this again. We present operation lock on. You see, things are standing too still. So of course, this is when we know that what we need to do is to move these rotations here further out. You see that? So that our circles, of course, can keep rotating. Okay. And also for the arrow to take its time to get to the top. You see that? So we move it, of course, also out of the way. Okay. And also, while they are there, we're just going to give them a bit more speed. Okay. Starting with that one there. If it was 44 degrees, let's make it 60 degrees at that point in time. Okay. This one, minus 38, well, let's make it minus, what? 58. Okay, so that it just has more time to spin around. So here's what we've got now. Much more appropriate and better timed, of course. In fact, let's close this effects window. Doesn't seem to be serving much purpose, of course, right now. So this is what we have right now. Let me play this back. See that, eh? That's of course much better. All right. Okay. Now from here on, we are going to lock into where, of course, we need our animations to zoom into. But before then, we have to make sure of the following, and that is that's the following. We are going to do the following. Move the target tracker on top of the lock-on rotator. Target tracker, of course, is that little circle there. The lock-on rotator, of course, is that one below it. Okay. Now, these two guys shouldn't yet appear in the scene because they don't yet serve a purpose. Okay. And then we're going to change our composition settings and change the duration to 30 seconds. All right. Yeah. Move them again out of the way like that. And then also the arrow arrow A, we're going to play also with its position. Click on the stopwatch there for the position there. Let's see. Position it a bit below. Now this one, in the beginning, it can start at the top. Okay. And then as animation plays, can come down, and then it can tilt a bit upwards again, and then continue its journey down. Okay. Okay. And then let's see, select our maps here, including the adjustment layer, including the ring. Okay, let's start from the ring all the way down, and we're going to stretch out these objects durations over time. Okay, so they don't cut off, of course. And then of course this is the time when we begin to zoom in into things that we need to zoom into. So basically, let's see. Okay, so it starts here, leave no man behind. Yeah. And then we're going to select the scaling of each of these two layers of ours, starting with the one of the earth. Yeah. Now the earth layer, we're going to zoom into it. Oh, by the way, select also the positions. Then create the keyframes there for the positions, and then press U and U again, so that we can create, of course, the keyframes for the position and the scaling, because those two parameters are the ones to be modified. Now let's do this. How about this? Let's select all these keyframes here and delete them, and then create them again, okay? For the scaling and the position, okay? And let's move them forward in time, assuming that's what we want things to look like later on. That means, of course, oh no, let's actually, this one here, we don't need any keyframes for it yet. Let's concentrate on the earth one first, okay? So we're going to start by scaling it upwards, and from here we have to determine from which region of the earth do we want things, of course, to zoom from. And how about this? How about Brazil, Yeah, we've got Brazil there, okay. Just trying to put it on the spot there, okay. So our animation will start from Brazil. So here it's how it starts like that, okay. And then of course we are then going to zoom out of things by going like that. You see that? And then of course this has to happen a bit quickly. Now while we are here, our primary and secondary rings, of course, have to be played around with. Okay, we're going to start first, of course, by moving these keys a bit out. But first, we have to determine how does animation play right now between these, between these two regions here. Because, yeah, we have to determine between those two regions. Preview that. So you can see, of course, how it plays back. It's a bit too slow for my liking. We have to speed this process up, and that means, of course, bringing the scaling keyframes and the position keyframes, of course, much closer than they are. And then let's play this back. When we play this back, this is what we have. Brasilia. Zoom out, and of course, that's before we go where we need to go. By the way, if you're watching this from Brazil, I can only say hello, or hola, Brazil, great country, great footballing nation. And I can only wish you guys all the best with hosting the 2014 FIFA World Cup, because it was here in South Africa for 2010, and we truly enjoyed it. So yeah, hola, Brasilia. Oh yeah, so this is what we have so far. It zoomed out of there. And then of course, yeah, we get the map of the Earth. And then of course, we have to cook things up. In other words, we have to do the following. When we get here, our disks have to spin big time. In other words, starting with the primary ring, we're going to make them spin more that way. And then the secondary ring, of course, make them spin more that way. Okay. Because there's quite a big movement that needs to happen in between those keyframes. And then the spinning has to happen from the zooming from there. So we have to, of course, move these keyframes here out of the way like that. Okay? And also, when they come here, of course, they still have to continue spinning. So that's the things we really have to pay much attention to. Sorry, not the scaling, the spinning. Okay. Yeah, we move those, of course, out of the way. Let's see, which way is that? Okay, it's clockwise. That, of course, must be anti-clockwise. Okay. And move it out of the way like that. Okay. And again, we have to fine-tune this by moving these, of course, to the way like that. And also, let's see, when they get, okay, it starts from 4. When they get here, in other words, the spinning starts from there, and then we get here where they have to be settled, basically. Now for those, let's see, we might try and push these values a bit high for that one, and of course a bit high for that one too. Now when we play this back, you see that of course the rings spin and then they come to a standstill when the zooming out is complete. Okay, so the zoom out, yeah, and of course the timing has to be quite in sync. So yeah, let's move these objects here like that. Okay, now when we have this playback, you see that they spin quickly when you're zooming out, and of course they come to a nice settling down. So they spin because you're zooming, and of course they settle down nicely. Great. Okay. It seems our object there, the secondary ring, has kind of stopped. Oh, it's spinning the wrong way. Okay. So we're going to delete that key for it and make it spin, of course, the way it's supposed to. Yeah, they must always spin anti-clockwise, of course. That's always the rule with them. Okay. And then when we are here, this is of course when we begin to zoom into things again. So click on the stopwatches there for the Earth. And then we're going to zoom into that region there. Yeah, the Arabian Gulf, of course. And of course, we're going to scale it to become bigger. So remember, the aim is always to make where you want to zoom into, you want to make sure that it's somewhere in the cross, of course, because it needs to be targeted. Okay. And in fact, let's see, after we've zoomed into there, yeah, that's when, of course, we can consider bringing these keyframes here closer to each other. Yeah, like that. Okay. So basically, what will happen is we'll come out of this, and then we, of course, we're going to zoom into that. Okay. Now, when we get here, okay, from here, we're going to need to rotate, of course. So here's what we can do. Let's see, these were the keyframes that we had earlier up to there. Okay, so we're going to select these keyframes here that we have with our rings. Go to edit, copy, because of course we don't want to begin to redo things. So we go to simply edit, paste. Sorry. We only want the keyframes. Okay, select the keyframes for that. Edit, copy, edit, paste. Yeah, much better. Okay, same with these ones here. Select those keyframes, edit, copy, edit, paste. Of course, you can see where it pastes them in the timeline. Okay, so they will spin basically, and then of course they're a bit too far away from each other. Let's select these keyframes as they are. So I'm going to press Alt, and then is it Alt? No. Let me undo that. Is it Control key? No. Is it Shift? No. Okay, here's what needs to happen. We're going to have to drag them closer to each other. So from here, let's bring them closer and closer and of course closer. So it starts like that and then it spins out of control and then boom. Yeah. And of course when they get here, they continue of course their usual rotation. This one goes like that, while of course the upper one continues rotating inwards like that. Okay. And again move them out of the way. And let's just see what that produces so far. And yeah, we've done a great job because this is what we have so far. We zoom out of there. We focus. Of course, we get there. Okay, perfect. And then once that is done, we are then finally going to get to our target. Okay. And here's what needs to happen. The map of the Earth here, which is the first map, needs to be shortened. So we're going to cut it down like that. Okay. And then the other thing that needs to happen is that it needs to be zoomed into. So we're going to again create keyframes for the zooming. Move them a bit like that. And then let's just see. Move forward so that we can see, of course, which map should follow next. Let's see. Could it be this one? Or, let's see. Could it be the other one? Okay, I think it has to be this one here to follow. So what will happen is that we'll have this. We're also going to press Shift T for the opacity. Yeah, and then this one also, we're going to press keyframes, let's see, for the scaling position, and Shift T for the opacity as well. Okay, So we're going to move from this by first reducing the opacity, of course, to 0. Let's just make it a bit see-through, so that of course we get the chance to move the map here that should follow it a bit more into focus somewhere here, and of course scale it up here. Okay, so that our audience of course will be able to link these two objects here together. Let's just confirm this. So we'll move from this to, let's just see, while it's zooming, while it's fading out, let's scale it upwards at the same time. And of course, yeah, as I said, scale it up, trying to position it, of course, where it will eventually be, like, okay, you see that? Let's just see, where does this map end? Yeah, just trying to make it fit where it will eventually go to, or where it will eventually fit into. So we'll get from there to that. I'll just confirm that again. As you can see, of course, further scaling is required, and positioning. Now we're getting more or less what we need. So it starts from there, and then of course it ends up there. Okay, great. Now something also is required. We need to blur between the transitions, so we're going to go to layer, new adjustment layer, move it all the way so that it can be positioned only on top of the maps of the earth. There we go. Then we go to window, if let's see, effect, yeah, go to effects control, of course this appears. Let's see this one here, the color toning. So this one here, we're going to go to effect, blur and sharpen. Let's go for let's see, Gaussian blur. No, I don't think Gaussian blur will work. Effect, blur and sharpen, fast blur. No, that won't work either. We need a particular blur. Effects, blur and sharpen, radial blur. Yeah, that's much better. You can see, of course, the results it produces. The type must be zoom. Yeah, like that. Okay. As you can see, of course, from here we can manipulate just how insane the zooming needs to be. Okay. And we're going to press the stopwatch on the blur's amount, and then press U. Okay, to reveal the keyframes, of course. And of course, in the beginning, it doesn't have to be like that. So we're going to change the setting here to 0 in the beginning. And then when we zoom in, that's when it can go higher. And this way we can push it to something higher, maybe 20 or so. Just trying to create a smoother transition between our two layers. And of course, when it has gotten to where it needs to get, we send it back to 0. Okay. So I wonder how the playback will look like. And of course, the only way to find out is to test. We'll bring these keys a bit closer and then press 0 on the numpad to test. This is what we have right now. When we zoom, you see the blur. But of course, unfortunately, the ending is too abrupt. See that? I'm going to hide this blur layer for now. Of course, rename this to blur zoom. Okay, so that we know what it is. Yeah, let's just get things a bit more into perspective here, because there's a very big jump between, it's either the position or something like that of the layers here that's causing that sudden effect that you are seeing. Okay, so we've decided that, oh yeah, there we go. It's these two keys here that are the problem. Select them, delete. Yeah, they are the ones which are causing the jerky feel that we had. Yeah, now of course it should look much better. Let's see. And you know what? Something actually tells me that we don't need this layer here which is waiting behind this one here. So I'm going to select it and delete. Okay, perfect. And then now, here's what needs to happen. Let's see. Okay, we have the earth map there. Change the opacity here to 0. Okay, because first we'll zoom into it. Okay, turn back on the blur zoom layer, because of course it will help us zoom in. But of course, let's see first. Oh, let me do this. I'm going to go to edit, undo, enable edit, undo, undo clear layers. Yeah, so that that one can be back. Okay, again, let's set it back to 0, and let's of course examine what happens between this. Can you see of course what we get there? Okay, now let's turn back on our blur zoom layer again and see what